This is Nick Christopher from Mob Tales. Hope everybody's doing good. Please like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Definitely appreciate any comments that you make. Today I'm welcoming an author and a lady that lived through the life, per se. And we'd like to welcome, and she wrote a book, which is I started reading it actually, and she was nice enough to send me one, which is pretty damn good. It's called Sins of the Man I Called Dad. And this is the cover, which is pretty awesome cover, nonetheless. So Christine Petrizzo, nice having you on the show. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very happy about that. So we could talk a little bit about my book that, you know, it took a long time to write it, and I'm happy I finally did it. And it's doing well. I mean, I have a lot of like 5-star reviews, and people can't put it down. They're like, "Oh my God, it's so great." So I'm happy about that. But it's about love and betrayal and loyalty. It's secrets and lies and sins and all that, but it's all the truth. So it's my life, and I felt like I had to get it out there, finally.
Well, that you definitely did.
Yeah,
Um, to get people a little more familiar with who you are and your
yeah,
background, Christine her dad was an influential guy um, who was involved with the Colombo crime family, and he was very influential with guys like the Persicos, the Arenas, who I personally knew myself, and a lot of other heavyweights in that organization, and the Colombo crime family, that is. And Christine, who's one of his daughters, he had four of them, right? Four girls,
right.
right?
Yeah, four daughters.
Right. There was Linda, Joanne, yourself. I
And
forgot the other one. And
Denise, the
Denise. That's right.
yeah,
That's right. Um, Now, maybe you can give us a little bit instead of going through every little thing step because we don't give everything away.
right,
Uh,
right.
so I'm going to nitpick at a couple of things that
Okay,
would interest our audience.
okay.
Like for example, there was a catering hall in Massapequa that a lot of people probably didn't know
Mm,
was run by the family, and this guy named Tommy Osara, which
right,
was
right.
which was Manor East.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that location and some of your experiences there.
So, we moved out from Brooklyn and then we moved to Long Island. So we were young girls, and he had actually, it was the catering hall, but he also had a restaurant there. So we used to go there a lot on Sundays for dinner. And he had all the barmaids there, and they were all like with the big hair and the makeup and all that. And so we'd go there on Sundays. And one day, Tommy said they were really good friends. My father and him, they really were very close. And one day he tells my father, I'm going to close up the restaurant. I'm just going to keep the catering hall. And he said, oh, all right. So then my father decides, oh, I'm going to open up the Redheads Lounge in Levittown on Hempstead Turnpike. So he opens up this nightclub, for all these, and get all the barmaids. They will work there. All his waitresses that were beautiful, and they were like, with their big boobs and the hair and the makeup. And so he opened that little club up over there. It was only for the wise guys, and we were never allowed to go there. But and then we all had our sweet 16s at Tommy O'Sara's Manor East. We turned 16. We got a big party. It was like a wedding. And then we had brand new cars, as we were growing up. Oh, 16, you get your new car. And, we lived a nice life, And I have to say, and it's not that I want to brag, but when we were young, teenagers growing up, we were like the Kardashians at that time with all our friends in Farmingdale. And we had the cars and the makeup and the hair and the clothes, and they all say, oh, your father's in the mafia. And he say, there's no such thing as the mafia. Okay. There's no such thing. All right. All right. We couldn't say anything. You didn't ask questions. You know what it's like. You don't say anything. It's just okay. So, That was a nice time. Yeah, they were very, very close, him and Tommy. I know that. And we loved him too. He was a nice guy. And I know he got killed. I don't know if it was was it in the war? I don't know.
Yeah, go to war.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
war. I thought it was like a little bit before that, but I guess not. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I know it was a hard time when he passed away, you know.
Well,
And
that at that time, like in the Manor East, for example, when you were going there on Sundays, how old
right.
were you at the time?
Well, I wasn't driving yet, so I had to be like 13, 14, I think,
Okay.
because by the time my father opened up the Redheads Lounge, is the one my sister, the older one that married Michael Persico. Okay.
Yeah, Joanne.
Yeah, Joanne. So she got her brand new Mark One at the time. So she grabs me in the car and says, "We're going to the Redheads Lounge." I go, "We're not allowed to go there. Get in the car, we're going." So here we are driving to the club there, the Redheads, and there's a big bouncer outside. When we pull up, we get out. What is she, 16? I'm like 14. So he goes, "What are you girls? What are you lost?" "No, we're coming in. We want to see my father." "Your father's not here." And he turns us around, says, "Get in the car and get out of here." And then all of a sudden, my father finds out we were there. You never go there. It's not a place for you. But my sister was the one that was always getting herself into trouble. She had to be everywhere at every time. But they were very close. My father and my older sister were very, very, very close. But those were nice days. But we
Well,
were really young. We were little kids. And
well, it seems what you're saying. It seems like a little bit of your father rubbed off on Joanne.
oh yeah, she was always involved in everybody. She knew all of them. I wasn't, but she did. And then she met Michael at actually it was Andrew Russo's son Joey. We went to school
Joey
with.
Russo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Joey's wedding. He married Lucretia, and that's how she met Michael. And they started dating. My father used to tell her, "Yeah, I don't think so. You're crazy. You don't know what you're getting yourself into." But she fell in love. They got married, and that was it. So, I mean, I still see them, even though they're not together, but they're not divorced. They're actually still married. And, we have family together. So we see them at parties and different things still. So, but back then, yeah, that's how it was. So it was the Russos that we knew, also Andrew Russo, and and then I tell my father, "Oh, when we were in high school, right? I go to high school and I come back. I said, Dad, the L&M boys are at our school." He goes, "Who's the L&M boy?" I said, "The Little Mafia." "Little Mafia? There's no such thing as the Mafia." I go, "You don't know Joey's father, Andrew?" "I don't know anybody. There's no Mafia." "All right. Okay, Ted. This all right. Whatever. You didn't ask questions. You didn't, you just that's it, You were just
So,
involved in that life. And I dedicated the book to my mother because my mother had a really hard time in her life, in her lifetime, living with him. And he was never around, and the secrets, the lies, and it was really hard, for my mother. And we weren't allowed to say anything when we found out things. We couldn't tell her about him with his
mhm.
mistress. We couldn't say anything. So she died very young. I mean, she was 59, but she died quick. It was like 7 weeks, and I couldn't accept it. And that's when I really felt betrayed by him, because of my mother. He was the way he was to her. I mean, he didn't never divorced her. He was good to her with material things, but he was never there. He was hard.
Oh, yeah, well,
I mean, he had this big company, AJ Ross Logistics. It was huge. He was in the steel industry. I don't know how he lived so many different parts of his life. Like to have that whole business that was unbelievable in New Jersey. I know they all worked in Manhattan with all the steel and all that, with all the five families. And, then he had his mistress, he had his family that we didn't really see him too much, but. And he lived a lot of different lives, you know. And I'm sure he's mad at me right now for writing this book, but I just said, I don't know. It came over me and I said, I just have to do it. I have to heal. So I wanted to get it out there I just
Right.
figured to,
Well,
you know, yeah.
well, when you were in high school, you mentioned the L&M boys, right? You mentioned
Yeah,
that.
right.
And you mentioned to your father. Now, at that time, I'm assuming you had some kind of inkling that your
Yeah.
dad was involved in that world. I'm
Oh,
assuming.
yeah. I definitely knew, but of course you didn't ask any questions, you know, you just knew, you know, that was it.
Now,
You just,
being that's the case, like for example, if you were to walk into the Red Head Lounge, or I mean, or if you go to Manor East, or if you went to anywhere in the Massapequa area, or even
right,
later, or maybe I think in the Queen Brooklyn area, let's just say,
right.
and people obviously knew who you were. You know,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. If they
were
saw
you
me, yeah,
treated?
they saw.
Did you experience being treated differently?
Oh yeah, you know, wherever we went, it was like, oh, you know, it's Tommy's daughters, wherever we went. Yeah, yeah. It was definitely like that. And then he would tell us as we were teenagers, you know, he always knew where we were. And I'd say, all right, look, I'd say to my friends, look, a Cadillac passed by. That's my father. But it was never really him. But he had people spying on us all the time to see where we were. We were hanging out, you know, as kids. But oh, yeah, Brooklyn, wherever we went, it was like, oh, there's Tommy's daughters. So, you know, that was a good part. We felt protected all the time, you know. But
Well, baseball. This is interesting you bring that up because in your book you talk about a time where you and I think your sisters or some other friends of yours were in a store and some guy abused you physically,
right, yes,
and
and I was only 13. Yeah, right.
yeah, you told your mom about it, but you told her not to say anything.
Yeah,
But then your dad and I forgot the other
yeah.
individual's name that was
Ralphie,
with him,
Ralphie Lombardi. He was in the
Ralph, okay,
yeah, Ralphie.
and
Yeah,
sat you down and
yeah,
they told you, "Hey, listen, what happened?" You were
yeah.
reluctant to tell them, but you did.
I did. I had to tell them. So, yeah, Ralphie. They call me down in the basement. I'm going, Ma, why are they calling me down there? He came over a lot on Sundays. They'd go outside and talk. They'd go away. You know, not near us. They do their talking, whatever. So she goes, I don't know. Go down and see what they want. You know, they're calling me down. I go, what? Why do you want to see me? You know, what happened with this guy? Ralphie's saying. I go, I don't want my father to go to jail. I couldn't say anything because he'll go to jail. He's going, nobody's going to jail. Okay. We don't go to jail for these things. But what did this guy do? He was sticking his tongue in my mouth. He was chasing me around the store. I was 13. You know, what do I know? He was giving us liquor so we could. My girlfriend had fallen asleep in the back room. That's what he wanted, you know. He didn't know who I was, so he found out after that, you know, because
Oh, obviously.
yeah, he was in the hospital for weeks. He had no teeth. His legs were broken. His arms were broken. I thought my
Oh,
girlfriend would never talk to me again because it was somebody in her family. It was not really her uncle, but it was her mother's cousin's husband or something. So he learned his lesson in life. He you know really he really learned his lesson. They had to wire his mouth together. He had lost all his teeth. Yeah. And then it was never mentioned again. I don't even think my sisters ever knew at that time because I was really like embarrassed to even say anything. I had to tell my mother, but you know,
it had to be traumatic for sure.
it was so dramatic at the time. It really was, you know. So, you know, but then I knew like, okay, nobody's really going to bother me or do anything like that to me if I have to tell, you know. My father knew nobody's going to touch my daughter and get away with it, you know. And I think Ralphie actually knew this guy. I think he knew of him, and that's why. That was it. That was it. Yeah. So, but
Well, when you met a lot of these other gentlemen,
yes,
Ralphie or any of the arenas or the
yeah,
Persico,
right.
what was your experience with them or your um, how would I say your opinion of them and how were they? I'm sure they treated you well because of your dad, but if you can give us like an inside view of your experience?
I just always felt great around all of them. All the guys were all the same age. We all got married around the same time. The Arenas, the Persicos. We all had kids together. The kids all knew each other. So we all had a really nice time, parties. And, my father we always had company, or we'd meet at a restaurant, or, I don't want to name too many names of the restaurants, but, it was great. We were like all family. We really were, we had a lot of nice years. The kids still talk, all the grandchildren, they all know each other. So, but it was really nice. It really was. I mean, Michael's father, of course, wasn't around much. I did meet him a few times, but then, he was away most of his life, Carmine.
Hmm. Right.
But the rest of his family, yeah, we're family. So, we still see each other at parties. And I don't know, maybe they're all not so happy about this book, but I actually called my brother-in-law. I called Mike. I said, listen, he goes, I know you're writing a book. He said, good luck. I said, all right, I'm putting a picture of you in there with my sister and my father. He said, all right, what am I going to do? So that was, but he wished me well. And
Right.
was,
Well, your book is, from what I saw anyway. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but
yeah,
from what I looked through it and I read most parts that I read, I mean, you don't talk really bad about anybody per se. It's just stories that are
yeah,
they're more family oriented than anything to do with anything criminal.
right.
And whatever it is that may be, it's all public domain anyway.
It
So
is.
it doesn't
It's
really
all
matter.
right, right.
Um, when you decide to put this out, and
Yeah,
like you said, a lot of people started to find out that you were doing this in
right.
the family. Um, I mean, did you get any pushback at all? Oh, Christine, don't do it. Not a good idea. Forget about it. Did
Well,
you get any kind of pushback?
well, actually, it was even a few years ago. It was me and two of not my oldest, not Joanne. She didn't want to be involved, but my other two sisters. We were going to write a book together, but that was hard to do. This one said that, this one said this. I said, all right. So we backed off. We didn't do it, but I kept writing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Yeah. A lot of people, they were happy. And then they said, I don't know. The more people said I shouldn't do it, the more I said I'm determined to do it, and I had to get it out there. And actually, the day it was published was December 20th, right? And I'm driving the car just this year, just a few months ago, and I'm driving, and a song goes on, The Way I Love You, it was the name. I cried because I said, now it's all out there. It's published, it's out there. Like, I can't turn around now. So it was like a happy, sad time. And listen, I know my father probably wouldn't be happy about it, but I had to get it out there. I always said I wanted to write a book, about my life, and I did. And that's it. It's there.
Yeah, that it is.
Yeah.
Um, have you since you've published the book and the book is out there right now, which is very good.
Yeah.
Um, the you put a lot of pictures in there, which are
Yeah.
really really great because it goes along with the storyline.
Right.
Um, was there any kind of game plan in the sense of which ones you really wanted to add and which ones you didn't want to add?
The pictures you're talking about?
Yeah, the pictures. Yeah.
Listen, there was a lot more pictures that I had to like say, all right, I'm not going to put them all in. But I wanted to put our weddings in with my father, so I put the three weddings. My other sister didn't get married, the younger one. And that I had to do. And I put a picture of, my ex-husband, and then all that with the divorce and all that. But no, I didn't write anything bad about anybody. I think it's a great story. I really do. I think it's very heartfelt. Like a lot of people, listen, people call me. I'm saying I cried through the whole book. When I read the book finally, when it was all done, and I read it from cover to cover, I cried a lot through the book. It was very emotional to do it, but I
Yeah.
decided I'm doing it, and that's it.
Well, one of the main lines of the book, I think that you were trying to convey, is the betrayal of your dad with this woman Ella, which
Right,
we all know. We're not going to say her real name, obviously.
right,
But
right,
that was the core of your, I think, drive to really
right.
do.
Yes,
And I'm sure, I mean, a lot of other people, I'm sure, have been through similar situations,
Yes, of course.
especially in that life where
Yeah.
their father, has someone else. 'Cause, I mean, in that life, these guys, they all have mistresses, pretty
Yes.
much.
Yes.
But this was more than just a mistress. This was
Yeah.
like, this affected you personally and your
Yeah.
family in a big way.
Yeah.
Um, so, am I correct in that respect?
Yes, definitely. Because we would go, like, they had a family restaurant and she was the hostess. Okay. So we would go there a lot on Sundays with my grandparents, and my grandfather, because she's nothing his type. She's not his type at all. My grandfather would tell me, you know what, Cookie? She's after your father. She's got her claws in. Now, my father had money then. He had the big house. He had the companies. He was doing well, but we were still all pretty young. And I said to my grandfather, she's not his type. But little by little, he said, mark my words. And this is the betrayal that we felt because she didn't want to be the mistress. She wanted to be out there with the power and the money and everything. And she, little by little, sucked all the money out of him. And oh, yeah. See, this is the part that I really can't handle is that my father always made like, oh, it's her money, it's her money, it's her money, it's her. How does she make that much money? It's a family business. Nobody else lives that lifestyle with penthouses and Maseratis and diamonds and trips and all this stuff. Nobody else lives like that. Only she did. Oh, it's her money. She works hard at the restaurant. Yeah, okay. I'm not saying she didn't work hard, but she didn't make that money. It was his money. Okay. Wanted us to believe that, but we never did. And listen, she wanted the power. She had a lot of control over him, a lot. Even people that I know that now are saying, yeah, you know what? He was like scared of her. I don't know why. I mean, the big guy that she had a lot of power over him, and that's what she wanted, the power, the money,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
control.
yeah, that's an interesting concept that you brought up because here we are with a
Mm.
man who's a powerful,
Yes.
strong, gangster
Yeah.
type guy.
Yeah.
You would these guys, they're not weak
Right.
in any sense of form.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think we find no matter how tough a guy is, a woman could make him melt.
That's
And
it.
this is an obvious. This is, I mean, the best example.
Yeah.
And your father ain't the first, that's for sure.
No, I know. Listen, they have their girlfriends, and we all know that. But you know what? They keep them where they're supposed to. They don't talk about it. They keep them quiet. I mean, all
Right.
these big wise guys. You didn't hear about. You never heard about John Gotti's girlfriend or anything. I mean, I never did. I don't know. A lot of them you didn't hear about. They had their girlfriends, whatever. But they had their family. They talked more about their family. But no, with him, it was all her. It was everything was about her. She was the wonderful woman. She's a great woman. And it just went on and on and on. Listen, it hurt. How do you go against your family? Like, you have four daughters, your wife and four daughters. And for her to betray us as like, we're at your restaurant and you're going after him in front of my mother. I mean, how do you do that? And then, listen, I have to tell you this part, which is the part that really, really affected me and my sisters was when we live in this big beautiful house in Dix Hills. I mean, he added on wrong. It was huge, right? We had a nice life, but my mother was always sad, and she was always heartbroken. He calls my mother one day, and I'm there, and the phone rings. My mother says, he wants the mistress, to come over. I mean, we didn't know for sure what was going on, but we knew it already started. Okay, my mother didn't want to believe it or whatever, but to come over to our house to order lunch, and my mother had to show her around his house what he had. Who does that? I want to know who does that. It was so heartbreaking to sit through. Well, I walked around with my mother because I didn't want her to. Oh, her and her sister came. Yeah, the doorbell rings, all dressed up. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? You know, how do you allow that to happen? And how do you want to go? How do you want to go to his wife's house with the children and the kids and everything? Yeah, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty awkward,
yeah, it is. But
to say
that's
the
what she
least.
did. She wasn't going to be the mistress. She was not going to be. She wanted to be out there. And she was. And my mother passed away. at a young age, and then they had their life together. That was it. He
Wow.
and then
That is
he
crazy.
then the war started. As my mother was sick, the war started. With the Colombo family, the whatever it was, the five families.
Hmm.
And so I'd be there on my mother's deathbed, and he'd be coming to. I go, Dad, what's going on? I mean, all I see on the news is who's getting killed, and they're killing each other, and you're involved in this, and because he went on the other side with Vic instead of the Persico, so you know, it was a big deal. And oh, don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. And then that was it. They all got arrested. They were in jail for 2.5 years before the trial came up, and we were there. We were there with the kids. Our grandpa's in college. Yeah, grandpa's in college. You had to stand on line in the rain. All the cops. You had to put your stuff in the locker. There's all cops. But where's the college? Yeah, because the kids were little, and we brought them. We didn't bring them all the time, but we brought them. We were there. We were so loyal to him, so loyal. No matter what he did, we loved him. We really did. We loved him. We adored him, and he was a real hardworking man. He wasn't only in the mob or the mistress. I mean, he had a big company, and he worked really hard, and he made a lot of money, a lot of money. But guess who got it all? So you read the
Yeah,
book and
exactly.
figure it out. Yeah, because yeah, yeah, that's it. And that's
Well,
why. And that was the reason why I had to also write about it. So
yeah, that's what I felt. That's what I thought was what it
yeah,
was the
right.
backbone of it.
Yeah,
Um, well, before we wrap up the show,
right,
will you at this point? I know it's very early to say this, but
right.
were you ever thinking of maybe developing the book into a script?
Oh, I would love to do that. Love to do it. Really, I really would. I think it's a great story. I really do. I mean, for people to call me, and these are strange people that knew my father. I don't know them. I'm getting text messages. I can't put the book down. These are men. And they think it's great. Like I go, oh, all right. I didn't think it was that good, but no, it's good. It's all the truth because it's the truth. It's all
Yeah.
real. It's no fakes. I'm not the type of. I'm not a taker. I'm a giver, and I'm not a liar. I never lied. I mean, my father did tell me once when I was a kid, don't lie because you never remember your lies, but you always remember the truth. And yeah, but they all should. Everybody in life should go by that rule. But you know,
Yeah, really.
you know. You really can't. You can't remember if you have so many lies going on. You can't figure it out. But I was never a liar. So this book is the truth. It's all from my heart, and I had to write it. I wanted to honor my mother that really got the shit end of the stick, I would say. And so did we, because at the end, what happened? I mean, and we were all with him at the end. He's got old, and he was getting dementia and things were done that weren't supposed to be with the will and all that. And I'm not going to say the whole thing because let people read about it and see what really.
Exactly. You don't want to give too much away.
No, but it
Yeah.
is it is really. I think it's a great story. I do. It's my story. And,
Well, with people that now, obviously through the show, they know about it.
right.
Um, where can they find the book? Obviously, on Amazon, right? Obviously.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's already. It's also Barnes and Noble, Lulu, Google Books. Apple Books, but it's mostly, I guess, on Amazon where everybody really goes. I mean, they don't sell it in the store, Barnes and Noble. It's online. So,
Right. That's what
yeah,
most books are anyway. Yeah.
yeah, it's online. So,
Well,
yeah,
if anybody watches the show today,
yeah,
and anybody out there, if anybody would like a signed copy from you,
yes.
how can they do that?
I don't know because I live in Florida. I
Well,
live in Florida. Oh,
it's real easy, Christine, because I did it myself with my
oh,
books.
okay. What is
What
it?
I did was I had people email me
Right.
if they're interested in signed copies, and then we make an arrangement. It's pretty
Oh,
simple.
okay. All right. I didn't realize I could do
Yeah, you
that.
can do that if you want. It's if that's up your alley, it's even better for you.
Yeah. No, I would definitely do that. Yes. Yeah.
So if you want to offer people your email through via the show right now, that can email you and say, "Hey, Christine, I'd love to get a signed copy from you." You
Okay.
know.
Well, my email is my name, ChristinePetrizzo@gmail.com. That's it.
Oh, it's pretty easy. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I should know. I should
Yeah.
remember that.
Right.
So yeah.
And my
Well, listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I interrupted you.
I don't even remember what I was going to say, but just besides, thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed the show. I think it's great. And really, I'm so flattered that you even invited me on. I'm really happy about that.
Oh, me too. It was always definitely great. Doing the show with you and listen to the story and
Yeah,
letting people know about it. Again, I'm going to show everybody the cover of the book. It's just pretty awesome. I mean, I really like the way it looks.
I
It looks
know.
really, really cool.
I just wanted to mention that I did have the Brooklyn Ghostwriters as they helped me out with the book. They really did a great job, like with the marketing and all that, And I had a great project manager because it's not easy doing
No kidding.
the whole manuscript and all that, it takes time. But they were really great. They really helped me out a lot. Jane Williams, and it was nice. So I just wanted to mention them, and I just want to thank you so much.
No problem. Well, Christine, thank you very much for coming on the show. I definitely appreciate it. So people definitely like, share, subscribe to the
Right.
show, and hit up Christine for copies of the book. Or you
Yeah.
can also hit us up, and we'll let her know either way.
Okay,
And
that's great. That's
whatever else is coming up, Christina, that has anything to do with the book, let us know, and we'll get you on the show again.
I will. I will. Thank you so much. Really.
No, anytime, Christine. Good luck to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
Sure,
so much. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
you got it.
Thanks.